everyone, the Kentucky Patriot here. Just thought the last day or two, if you've watched this channel, I've talked for years and several videos about my EDC setup and what I do, the caliber and everything, but I haven't talked about what I do for home defense. Now I have done videos about hardening your home as far as, dogs, deadbolts, reinforced, the 3.5 inch screws, alarm system, camera system, stuff like that. The hardening of your home, but I never really discuss much about weapons and what we do for home defense. Now everybody does things different, so I want to talk a little bit, and I know there's going to be somebody with the attention span of a toddler that says you talk too much. Well, I want to explain what I do and why, because a lot of times if you don't, especially when you're at your range shooting, if you don't discuss the caliber and what you're doing and the target, you get all these questions in the comments, where I'm so thankful to have questions, but I like it be questions where we're exchanging ideas rather than what caliber did you shoot or what was that target, or so I try to explain everything to limit and give you as much information I can so we can talk more, discuss of in depth of the meat, so to speak, instead of just details that I left out. So for those of you that do have attention spans more than a toddler, I digress. But anyway, I want to talk to you what we do, but I will tell you this, and I'm not trying to dodge the question, because people ask us what we do for home defense. Everybody's different, and there is no perfect weapon. And what I mean by that is you go to the store and you say, I want the perfect gun, and somebody's going to hand you a Glock and say Glock perfection. You get home, and the next day when you get up to go duck hunting, you'll realize that gun's absolutely useless. Same thing with a shotgun. You go and you say, I want the best gun. Another guy says, you need a shotgun. It's the most diverse and give you all the the pros of a shotgun, bird shot, buckshot, slugs. You can hunt, basically anything, so diverse. Well, that's absolutely great until you try to find a holster and carry that EDC, and then you'll realize that gun's absolutely useless. So it's the same things kind of applies to home defense. It isn't a one size fits all. So I'm going to tell you what we do, but you'll still need to tailor this to what you can do the best, because it's not about what somebody else does or keeping up with the Jones. It's ultimately about keeping you and your family safe. And there's a guy, his name's Steven, for a long time. He's been a subscriber and watched this channel, and we've talked over the comments for years. And he's gotten older, and he's had to switch to a 38. He had a revolver, his 357 Magnum, for years. But as he's gotten older, the recoil, he's switched to a 38. You're so much better with something you can handle and you can shoot well than to try to have something that may be too big or too much recoil. So right off the bat, we talk about shotguns. That may be a great choice for you. I've demonstrated in many videos over the years all kinds of different targets. There is no doubt, whether it's birdshot, buckshot, or slugs, the shotgun platform, whether 12, 20 gauge, whatever, is a definite man stopper. We've done a lot of videos with 410 with slugs and those PDX1 rounds. You can check those out. So shotgun is a great option. However, if you're older, up in years, maybe have some shoulder issues, if you're a small frame lady, whatever the case may be, and you don't want the recoil, maybe an AR is a great choice. An AR is a great platform. A lot of muzzle blast. It's loud, but no recoil. That may be a great round, except if you have close neighbors in proximity, like an apartment, or you live really close to somebody. An AR, or can have over-penetration issues. Maybe you are better with a shotgun with birdshot. So you want to tailor it to what fits you the best. I mean, if you live in an urban area as opposed to living at a 200-acre ranch out in Montana, you want to be able to adjust. Now, what we do personally, there's pros and cons to every weapon system. Like I said, there is no perfect choice, whether it's a revolver, a handgun, a rifle, shotgun, whatever the case may be. So, and I'm not advising you, I'm not giving you any counsel. I'm just simply telling you what we do. You'll have to tailor this, and this may or may not be a good idea for you. What we call stage guns. So if somebody asks me to use a shotgun for home defense, I can say, yep. Well, what about an AR? Yep. What about an AK? Yep. What about pistols? Yep. What about a revolver? Yep. We can literally cover all the bases. There is no point in my house, and I'm not paranoid, just prepared, where I am but an arm's reach away from something at any time. Now, in the kitchen, I'm not going to be as armed as my bedroom, but we still have access to things everywhere, because I do want to warn you, I don't care what weapon you have and how proficient you are with it, if it's locked up in your safe and you're on the other end of the house and God forbid something happens, it doesn't matter what you have in your safe or how good you are, if you can't get to it and access it, that can run into a problem. So we choose to stage our guns, and what that means is simply put them places where we can get to them in a moment's notice. With staging, you have to be careful because, especially if you have young children. Now, our kids was raised around guns. My kids, the two, I don't want to say this word. I'm not sure if I can on YouTube or not. But in baseball, 1, 2, 3, you're out. I have 2 strikes, and both of them is my kids shooting. So those were taken down. But anyway, Hannah was rocking the 1911. That's her favorite gun. She was just boom, 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 and she was safe environment. We was not endangering children, regardless of what they say. Same thing with John, and he loves a rifle. He was shooting his 308, his new deer rifle that Timmy got for him, and he loves it. But so my kids have always grown up around guns. I always grew up around guns. There was never a time that I didn't know where dads were, or we didn't have access to them, but I just knew not to bother them. We just didn't. I knew anytime I wanted to, I could shoot them. I just, that's the way the kids are. We don't bother them, but you have to be careful with that as well, because just because your kids know how to handle them, just because your kids don't bother them, just because your kids know what to do and are trained well, doesn't necessarily mean that somebody else's kids. You got to watch about if you have company, people come over. Now, what state is your gun in? Is there one in the chamber? Is the safety on? I mean, you have to know the condition of your gun, especially if you have people in and out. A lot of companies have, whether it's nightstands or dressers or couches or clocks or drawers or all these different things that have hidden compartments. Those can be really good as long as they're accessible. I've got a buddy. I'm not throwing shade, not knocking this. It's up to you. I personally don't like it. It's where you got these little buttons. You got to type in a little button code, and then it pops up, and you get access to your firearm. I don't like that, because just because you can do this in broad daylight doesn't mean you can do that at night. When you hear a bump, the alarm's going off, you're scared, adrenaline's going, that you can do that quickly. I don't want anything between me and my firearm. That's me. You do it the way you see fit, but I don't want anything electronic or mechanical between me and my firearm either. In case batteries go bad, anything can happen. I want quick access, but we literally have guns staged all over the house. And again, not giving you advice, not telling you what to do, but ours is loaded and ready to rock. They ask about leaving magazines over a long capacity loaded. That's up to you. If you're worried about spring compression, I've done videos on that. Usually springs get weak if you keep loading them and unloading them. If you just keep them loaded, usually you're okay. I load 1 or 2 down, especially on 20 or 28 on a 30 round mag, something like that. 1 or 2 rounds not going to make or break. You still got extra mags. But what I do, just mags are cheap. Just buy you some good quality mags and rotate them out every 3 or 4 years, and you'll be fine. But anyway, that's what we do. But you have to take precautions. I know somebody's going to say, well, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. Well, Sun Tzu said, if you know your enemy and know yourself. I know my house, I know my wife, I know my kids, I know my atmosphere, and that's the way we choose to do it. An armed society is a polite society, so I haven't really meant to avoid the question, but when somebody asks me, well, do you run an AR, or do you run a revolver, or do you run a pistol, or do you run... It's kind of hard to answer that, because the answer is yes, but it's not our only, because if somebody says, do you have an AR for home defense, and you say yes, it sounds like you run an AR for home defense. Well, we do, but we also run everything else. So, it really doesn't matter where we're at. We have something, but it doesn't mean that we can always have necessarily an AR, like I said, in the bathroom or kitchen. So anyway, but if you do stage your weapons, you can put them in inconspicuous areas where company comes. It doesn't look like that you're armed to the teeth. But you know where it's at if you need it. Something, your wife's washing dishes and something happens to the front door, she's got something to defend herself. I won't go into all of what we need to do before that happens, before they get in. Like I said, with the hardening of the home, that's another video that we've already covered a few times. But anyway, that's pretty much what we do. That's pretty much how we roll. So if you do stage them, but I will tell you this: if you're not comfortable with your kids, especially toddlers or too young to teach about firearms, be really careful where you stage those, because if you think, oh, my kids can't get to it, oh, they'll never find it, stop for a minute and think. You know well as I do, you found all your Christmas presents when your mom and dad thought they hid it from you and you didn't know. So kids will get everywhere, they'll find it. So make sure that you put it up where they can't get access to that, because there isn't it could be possibly inherent dangers, and we want to keep you and your family safe. It's really not about what you have or what you're running or what you're using. It's what you have that you can use and run and shoot and defend yourself accurately. If you can't handle the recoil, you've had shoulder surgery, don't try to run something that you're not going to be able to run. There's no shame in saying, hey, I'm getting older, I'm going to switch up something I can shoot accurately, and it's going to be right here by my side, and I can shoot it, I can defend myself, I can handle the recoil, I can put shots on target. That's going to serve you much better than having a 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum at the blast. Just a solid hit with a 38 is going to be much better than a loud blast and a big loud miss. You know what I mean? So run something you can handle. Don't get into the hype of you have to have a shotgun, you have to have an AR, you have to have a pistol, you just have to have something that you're comfortable with, that you can run well. And that's basically what we try to do. Depending on what room I am, I want the most firepower that I can have available, that I can have sitting around, that company come like, what in the world you got? You know what I mean? We don't live in a barracks. We don't live in Fort Knox. We just live in a home that I have a wife and kids and dogs and family that I love, and they're worth protecting. So if you have any questions, because I don't rehearse these videos. I literally just sit down and talk to the camera just like you're my next door neighbor, like we're sitting on the porch. So anyway, if you have any questions about home defense or what I do, or any questions at all, what you do, enlighten us. What works for you? Hey, we're all in this together. The Glock guys shouldn't be against the 1911 guys, shouldn't be against the 308 guys that are against the lever action guys that are against the, if we're in the 2A community, we're all about freedom, protecting our family, preserving our hunting rights, and self-defense, and keeping you and your family safe. So, hey, share ideas. It's a great platform. We wish you and yours the very best. May God bless you. The Kentucky Patriot, signing off.